Hello nerds and nerdettes, and welcome back to the channel where once again we have a new video for you guys. Similar to the video we put out on Friday, which was my top 5 DC books of 2023, we will be focusing on Marvel in this video and going over my top 5 Marvel releases of 2023. If you are curious about my DC picks, I can leave that up above. You can check that out before checking this one out. But a quick reminder that if you are looking for any of the books that I'm about to mention, you can use the channel sponsor to track them down, which is organicpricebooks.com. You can use the discount code STAYNERDY to save yourself $2, or when ordering 4 or more books, you can use the code STAYNERDY, ship it together to save yourself 5% on that entire order. Not only are both those codes a great way to save yourself some money, but both those codes do help support the channel, so thank you for any of you that do decide to use those codes. Also, I am still sick, so if you hear any strain in my voice, I apologize once again, but we can go ahead and jump into the list, starting with, of course, number 5. First up at number 5 is Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 2, the Omnibus, Bendis and Bagley, the incredible team that they are. This is on the list for primarily 2 reasons. First reason is it has my 2 favorite Ultimate Spider-Man storylines, which is the Carnage storyline and the Ultimate Six storyline, which is a nice, fresh twist on the typical Carnage stories that we've gotten in 616 and the Sinister Six storylines that we've gotten in the 616. And there is a massive twist to both of those stories. What that is, you can read to find out, but I very much enjoyed both of those stories, and I didn't see the twist coming, and I think that's the main reason that I enjoyed it the most. Also, primarily why this is on the list is because once this was solicited, this volume 2, we knew Marvel was serious about finally dedicating themselves to putting Ultimate Comics in oversized format, because after we got volume 2, we started getting Ultimate X-Men. This finally came out. Then we got Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 3 announced. We had a lot of these Ultimate titles that were being announced or being rumored to be announced, and it was very, very exciting for fans of the Ultimate Universe like me. So that's the main reason that it is on the list, but this is still a great, great omnibus. This has some of my favorite Ultimate Spider-Man storylines. This continues with the creative team of Bendis and Bagley, the record-breaking team that is, on their creation of Ultimate Spider-Man existing in the Ultimate Universe. Such good stuff. If you're a fan of the Sam Raimi movies, there's a lot of inspiration that was taken from this, and it really just, again, feels fresh. It feels different. There's a lot of aspects that are familiar, but also a lot that are different. I think Ultimate Universe in general is great for new readers, but it's also a great breath of fresh air if you've been reading 616 Marvel for a very long time like I have been, and you really just want something a little bit different, a little bit of a palate cleanser. Ultimate Universe is exactly that. Not all of the stories are great, but overall I find myself enjoying the Ultimate Universe more than disliking it, so I would consider myself a fan. But I do know the Ultimate Universe is fairly divisive around the community, so your mileage may vary depending on your taste and your what you like to read, because it does have a certain tone to it and a certain flair to its storytelling and its art, so be prepared for that if you are going to dive in. But that does wrap up number 5, a very exciting release of 2023. We were super pumped to get it, and we're pumped to hopefully get more, so fingers crossed on that. But we can jump to number 4. Next up is the Venom Omnibus, or Venombus, by Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman. A lot of new readers or longtime readers of comics were claiming this to be the omnibus of the year when it came out. It is that good, but it's still not the omnibus of the year for me personally, but it is incredible. Donny Cates really dives deep into that lethal protector side of Venom, and also dives even deeper into the character of Eddie Brock. You have a lot of themes like anxiety, depression, potential past events and future events. Then you have him diving even deeper into the symbiote lore and building that up to almost a Jeff Johns' Green Lantern level, where there is just so many layers to the symbiote now at this point that it's almost hard to wrap your head around, but he really, really just fleshes out the characters of Eddie Brock, Dylan Brock, the Venom symbiote, and really makes them all stand on their own 2 feet and be characters of their own that really feed off each other but don't need one another to exist, and I very much enjoy that. You also have Absolute Carnage in this omnibus and the King in Black, so you have 2 events collected in this omnibus also. It's in great reading order, so there's no flipping back and forth that you really have to do. You can read this cover to cover. It's mapped beautifully. The art is incredible. Ryan Stegman absolutely goes off in this omnibus. Huge splash pages, so much detail. Has almost like a digital flair or a digital flavor to his art, but also kind of bombastic 90s flair at the same time. Leaps and bounds better than some of the stuff he did in Superior Spider-Man, which maybe we'll be taking a look at here shortly. Maybe a spoiler there, but such a great read. This is definitely one of those essential Marvel reads. Quickly became a household name, a household run that everybody has championed. Said it was the best Venom run, which I would probably agree with, and really made Donny Cates just that much bigger of a name in comic books once he fully put everything he had in these characters, this story, and really Marvel in general, because Absolute Carnage and King in Black were really his events and his brainchild that went from the Venom book into the entire Marvel universe and affected the entire Marvel universe. So Donny Cates' Venom, huge impact on Marvel and comics, and specifically the character of Venom. So if you are a Venom fan, this is the run to read. It is great for new readers, old readers, it doesn't matter. It's a great story. Do yourself a favor and pick it up, but let's hop to the next book. And coming up next is Superior Spider-Man, the Omnibus Volume 1. Fingers crossed on getting more volumes. This is what I consider to be Dan Slott's magnum opus during his massively long run on the character of Spider-Man, and that's primarily because of the mantle swap trope that we are no strangers to in comic books, completely flipped on its head by Dan Slott. He does something that so many people were not expecting, could have never predicted during this particular storyline, and it made a lot of people angry, but it also engaged a lot of people because it was so different and because it was so fresh. You're probably noticing a theme in this list that a lot of these stories just feel familiar yet different, and that's really what I value out of a comic, out of a storyline, is respecting that history of the characters that we all know and love, but also telling a different and fresh story. And that's exactly what Dan Slott did during this particular run. Paid homage to that mantle swap, but in a completely different way. You end up respecting the character of Peter more, the mantle of Spider-Man and his impact on Marvel, the Marvel's world, and the characters that he kind of comes face to face with and associates with. There's even some scenes that take place in here that end up affecting Peter into the future. So definitely some important aspects are explored in this story, but it's also just so different, so well done, and that Superior Spider-Man costume is just breathtaking alone. I mean, one of the best Spider-Man costumes ever, but still, so happy that we got this in omnibus format. Fingers crossed that we get more, even though I'm not 100% sure what will be collected in that volume 2 if we get a volume 2, but still so happy to have it. Dan Slott's magnum opus, in my humble opinion, and definitely worth reading. It made a lot of people mad, but I think once the dust settled, a lot of people were happy that this story was told. And coming in at number 2 is Captain Marvel Genis Val, the Omnibus. This is mainly on the list because I really wanted this to be collected in omnibus. I love this character. I've said before, this is my Captain Marvel. This is the Captain Marvel that I was reading in comic books when I was a kid. So Genis Val always has a near and dear spot to my heart. But I also thought the rest of the comic book community forgot about this character, so I never thought it would ever be collected in omnibus. but man, was I very much surprised but happy when this was announced. This is my favorite Peter David run in comics in general. I think Peter David, even though he's more known for his run on Hulk, and maybe even more known for his run on X Factor when it compared to how well he is known for this character, but this is where you see Peter David just have fun with the character of Genis Val, really dive into the deep comedic aspects that he loves to kind of include into stories. You have that cosmic and space aspect of Marvel deeply explored when it comes to Captain Marvel because of his connections to the original Captain Marvel, which we won't reveal here either. You guys can watch the review if you want a little bit more of a deep dive, but such a incredible run, such a slept on run, and a slept on character. He is so powerful and so interesting, and his upbringing and his connection to the original Captain Marvel and his importance in the Marvel Universe is just something that is so awesome to explore and so awesome to see throughout these pages. You do have the connection to Rick Jones, also very similar to that of the original Captain Marvel. So you have that character explored. Also, they're almost both main characters in a way, which is kind of weird but awesome at the same time because you have Rick Jones, which is that humble and grounded and human feel and lens that he provides, while you have almost a somewhat amateur and young, but very ambitious lens when it comes to Genis Val. So it's a very, very interesting buddy cop, even sometimes good cop, bad cop type of relationship between those two characters. And I absolutely love it. It is my favorite Peter David run. It is probably one of the most slept on omnibuses ever, and it is a chunky boy. You get a lot of content here, so if you do respect my opinion on comics, which maybe you don't, but if you do, check this out. It is such a good read. It is worth reading. It's very 90s in the first half, but when you get into that second half, because there's kind of like two chapters in this omnibus, but when you get into that second half of the collected material, you have some thought-provoking stuff, some darker and cosmic level stuff explored. So really, really good. Check it out if you're into that cosmic side of Marvel. But we can jump to my number one release of 2023 for Marvel. And my number one release, which a lot of you probably saw coming, is Immortal Hulk. Man, what a incredible and massive book this is. This is a monster of an omnibus, and it is so worth it. This, I have finally made the decision, is my favorite run on the Incredible Hulk. All respect to the Peter Davids and Stan Lee and all of the creators before, but this is such a great read. This is yet another run that is great for new readers, great for old readers. It fleshes out everything beautifully. I think it is mostly self-contained. I don't think you need a whole lot of prior knowledge going into this. There is some crossover when it comes to Absolute Carnage and King in Black, but even then it's very minor. But it is such a great read. You have so many thought-provoking aspects that are delved into pretty deeply. Higher power, some relatable aspects also when it comes to depression and trauma through life and how people deal with that and how it affects them as they grow and move throughout life and get into relationships and friendships with people. You have a huge focus on multiple gamma powered heroes and villains, multiple characters, heroes and villains throughout Hulk's history, get a lot of light shined on them and get fleshed out amazingly. You have the relationship between Bruce Banner and Hulk, who, spoiler I guess, are two different entities, pretty much two different people completely, but share the same body in a lot of ways. But their relationship between one another and how just complex and kind of endearing it is but you also have just a bunch of horror elements. This is a horror book in a lot of ways, but also a superhero book, and also a philosophical and thought-provoking style of book. It has it all. It ticks all the boxes. This is one of those runs that you got to read before you jump out of comics. If you plan to jump out of comics before you die, whatever it may be, it's just one of those reads that leaves you thinking, entertains you, makes you analyze yourself, other people differently. There's just so much to take away from this book, and it's also illustrated by Joe Bennett, who completely kills it during this particular run. Just overall, an incredible book. This is probably one of my highest rated books that I've reviewed, if not the highest, and it's well deserving of that. All the Hulk fans love this run, which I'm sure you'll see OmniNation in the comments saying how great of a run this is. Definitely, definitely worth reading if you haven't. Worth this massive omnibus if you haven't gotten it. Do yourself a favor, read it any way you can, because it is definitely that good. But that does wrap up today's video and today's list. Thank you so much for watching. As always, comment down below. Let me know your top 5, top 10, top 3 Marvel books of 2023. Always love to hear from you guys, the community. You are the reason I make these videos, so sound off in the comments down below. I would truly appreciate that. Also, I was planning on putting out my top 10 releases of the month instead of this video, but I thought it would mess up the continuity of the DC and Marvel videos, top 5 videos, so that's why I made this one. So look forward to my top 10 of the month on Wednesday, even though we'll be past that first week of releases for the month of January. Also, my haul will be coming out on Friday. I'll be making an announcement during that video, so make sure you don't miss out on that also. But if you are not a part of the community, hit that subscribe button to join the community. It's a great and flourishing place. I'm so happy to be a part of it. And if you do me a favor and hit that thumbs up icon, it means a lot. It's a simple gesture from you all that really affects our channel. So thank you to those of you that do hit that. And if you did enjoy today's video and you want to be notified when more like it are posted, you can hit that bell icon. That way you can get notified anytime the channel puts up uploads. But thank you for watching. Once again, I appreciate each and every one of you guys that do tune in. And of course, stay nerdy.